broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans, producing after shows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows, interviewing celebrities and showrunners, and bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Hey AfterBuzzers, welcome to an all-new Girlfriend's Guide to Divorce after show here at AfterBuzz TV. I'm your host, Lindsey Miller, and if you haven't done so already, make sure you go to iTunes, SoundCloud, YouTube, rate, comment, subscribe. We love hearing your feedback, so keep it coming. Tonight, we are discussing Season 2, Episode 12, Rule number 876, Everything Does Not Happen for a Reason. Yeah. And I am here tonight with an awesome guest, Gordon Beech himself. Mr. Matthew Glave is in the studio. Yes. Matthew or Matt, which do you prefer?
What do you like?
It's your name.
I'm called Matthew, Maddie, and Matt. Whichever one you guys go.
Let's go with Maddie. That's fine.
Maddie's good. If you guys want Maddie.
Where can we find you on Twitter if they have questions?
Well, after I said all that, it's Matthew at Matthew Glave, 2 T's. Should be Maddie at Matthew Glave with 2 T's.
But there's always time to change.
That's it.
And of course, I have 2 lovely co-hosts. Where can the fans find you guys?
I'm Fern Ronay. You can find me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Fern Ronay.
I'm caught up in the song. I feel like I need like a wedding bouquet, well, maybe not. But, I'm Tara Johnson, and you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at TJ Wagging Her Tail.
And of course, you guys can find me, Lindsey Miller, at Rockin' Mama Life and AfterBuzz TV at AfterBuzz TV on all social platforms. Let's get started. What did you guys think of this episode?
Or Gordon is the most awesome person ever. Like,
right?
I think I've loved this character the entire season. Has nothing to do with Maddie being here.
Shameless sucking up we have.
You have to do what you have to do.
We're gonna have to do like a look back at the other after shows and see if she's for real.
It's true. Mm-hmm. It's true. I've always been Team Gordon, hands down. I've always been Team. Yeah.
I like Gordon too.
Yeah.
Never. All right. I've been watching, and it's true.
It is true.
Yeah.
It is true. I think Isis wasn't a Gordon fan.
Isis was not.
She was not.
Oh, that's why she's not here.
And look who's not here. Mm-hmm.
See what happens.
Mm-hmm. We love you, Isis.
I loved Gordon until he snapped at
Abby.
Oh, and we will talk about that. We will get into the whole wedding, but that's going to be our elephant in the room. We will talk about the other parts of the episode first, because that is the big kahuna. Mm-hmm. We start off with Abby, who is having full-on meltdown, and I'm really curious to hear this guy's point of view on all things Abby. She has to finish her book. She's lost it. She's on a Red Bull binge.
But clearly Red Bull didn't pay the fee because it was just the can that looked like Red Bull.
Right.
See, that's where you guys are paying too close of attention to things, you know? You're like, when she set the can down, I kind of saw the label, but when they came back to it was totally gone.
It was a caffeinated fizzy drink.
Yes, a carbonated beverage.
These days you have to be careful with that. It was akin to Red Bull.
Yes.
But not necessarily.
Maybe not. Right.
So she's finishing. I love this scene when she's like at the coffee shop, and she like, are you the kind of person that likes to sit close to people? I'm like, I lived in New York for quite some time, but I'm the kind of person who would be like, I'm waiting for people, and like save the table next to me for like hours.
Nice.
I'm nice like that. Yeah.
You're nice like that. Well, it's interesting because like when you do it, you're actually buying something.
Right.
They had her having not bought anything, and she'd been there a while.
Sitting there.
So she just came in and did it.
She brought her own carbonated beverage.
Yeah.
She didn't even buy anything.
Barbara rescued her.
Yeah. It would have been really LA if she like had her dog with her.
That would have been it.
And then she didn't buy anything, and then she sat there all day.
That is LA. That is LA.
Yeah, so we have Jake. We find out Jake's coming back from Latvia tomorrow.
Yes.
which we don't have much details on that. I failed on my prediction. I thought the daughter was going to get him to come back early, but apparently time has passed really fast and his movie is over.
But I liked that prediction, though, just want to say.
I know. It was a good one. I was a little disappointed. And Barbara is very concerned over Abby.
Someone needs to be concerned. I mean, it just...
Well, they all are.
Yeah,
they're all concerned.
They're all concerned.
We see Phoebe reaching out. She won't apologize to Delia.
Right.
But it's just full-on meltdown. You know, like, there's no parts of Abby right now that you can put together or, like, Band-Aid together. It's just all
now she's just now they're just sort of observing her.
Yeah.
Like when Retta comes in, when Barbara comes into the to the cafe where she's sitting there, she's literally left just sort of observing her while she's talking, and that great look on her face. She's just sort of taking it all in while she's manically doing all these things.
Right. And then she sends a text message. Abby is like falling apart.
Yeah,
that's all.
She's losing it. She's losing it.
The perfect message.
And she's doing, and Lisa's doing it excellently. Like it's because she's like, I've got it together, and she's really
crazy.
She's like, I'm holding this together, and she's always like got that over convincing energy.
Right.
She's really great.
Yeah. So we see her. She's trying to finish her book. She's talking to her dog, which is, I talk to my dog, but it could be a sign of being crazy. And she has to go get Charlie's cup for baseball, and so she ends up at the Grove, where she almost gets hit by a trolley.
That's to me one of the most cringing, aside from the rest of the show.
Cringe.
It's one of the most cringing things because it's absolute humiliation.
Oh yeah.
Right.
She's being humiliated on a stage, a huge stage.
And no one has sympathy for her.
No. They just circle her like a car accident that she is right there. And it's so horrible because back in the day, if somebody had something happen in public, they would have the embarrassment of it happening publicly. Now it's broadcast forever.
It's everywhere.
The idea that they're standing over her with recording devices is really perverse.
Yeah, in her face, as she almost got hit by a freaking trolley, and is like, she can't finish her book, yet the guy who basically
was all over the world finished his book, got it published, and now he's on tour.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
It is.
I don't remember when she and Dr. Harris were together, the public being so hateful towards her. Because remember when they had the whole, whatever the hashtag was at the time, it was, they look great. It's the divorced lady and Dr. Harris. But now she was the old one.
The older lady that he was with.
And we didn't like her
a dumpster whore, damaged goods.
Right. Just how quickly they changed.
That's adult cyberbullying.
It is.
Right?
Well, and I think it's
That's the sad thing. It's so believable. Like that could really
happen.
It
does happen.
Because people, the anonymity, they can turn mean so quickly.
Yeah, people are really brave behind their little Twitters.
Mm-hmm. They're 140 characters.
Yeah. Yeah. So she's refusing to apologize to Delia, right? But we also have Delia the day before the wedding. She's at Phoebe's house, and all the girls are there in the cutest little bridal PJs.
Never seen. They were the cutest thing ever.
It's the kind of stuff like women will buy on Pinterest. Like
that they will post on Pinterest, then someone else will buy them because they were just that cute.
Yeah. So Maddie, you're married.
It sounds so funny you calling me Maddie, but it's all right. We're gonna go with
Matthew.
it.
Matthew.
Or Matty Glave.
Matthew just sounds.
Matthew.
Matthew. Before you got married, did you and your groomsmen get matching PJs and have a little party and watch like man flicks?
Gordon or Matthew?
Matthew.
No. Matthew eloped.
Matthew eloped?
Really?
Ooh. Love it.
Where to?
I did.
Hopefully somewhere exotic.
No. We didn't run off in the truest romantic. No. We just ran off and got married really quickly and quietly, and then we were just married, and that was it. We just wanted to just get married, so we did.
Nice. I find that interesting because Gordon Beech is all about this big, huge wedding.
I am the huge blushing groom.
Yes, you are.
Right? I want the perfect wedding dress for her.
And it's so sweet.
I want a lot of people. I want my big wedding.
You do.
Right?
So what did Gordon do the night before? Did he have all his
Gordon partied with his friends, but Gordon's a businessman, so he was probably doing business at the time. Right. He's like, okay, I've got that checked off. That's going to work out. She's going to show up. It's going to go. It's going to be good.
Yes. Checking off his list.
Don't accept any envelopes before.
No.
That's the one thing. It was the one mistake.
Yeah.
One thing I should have said, no more business. I'll get married.
Right.
Done.
One critical mistake.
One mistake.
Love it. Yeah, I find it an interesting dichotomy, like your character, because he's on the one hand he's this like stern businessman. He's like all business, no play. But on the other hand, he's like this big, gushy teddy bear of a man who like just loves Delia and wants to like her to be so happy and have all of these things and wants this big, beautiful wedding. And it's such an interesting character to me because
Well, I mean, not all aggressive, money-minded businessmen. I mean, people are multidimensional. I adore her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I adore her. Gordon adores Delia, and I adore Necar. It's so easy to adore somebody that you like to work with.
Well, I mean, and
so
Necar is...
Yeah, but I mean, I adore her. She's funny. She's smart. She's funny. She's talented.
And she's beautiful.
And she's beautiful. Yes, she is beautiful. But I mean, it's just easy to adore her because she's so much fun.
Is she like Delia?
To a certain degree, she's very strong. She's extremely strong, and she's extremely headstrong, and knows what she wants, and she does it. That's how my wife is. That's probably why I like Necar so much. My wife is very much like Necar. Mm-hmm. They're both supremely confident and beautiful and strong, and they know what they like to do, and they do it fearlessly. And that's always, to me, I've always been attracted to strong women. I like the confidence and the moxie to back it up.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Love it.
Loves it. So, they're all at Phoebe's house. They're watching chick flicks. They can't get Abby to apologize, right? And then just randomly, JD's kicked out of his apartment, which I don't even think that's legal. Like, that you can just say, hey, I think I went out of my lease early, and they're like, get out today. Like, I think it's really hard to evict somebody. Like, legally. I feel like it's a really hard thing to do.
That JD thing.
That JD.
Jay, what do you think about JD?
I like JD. I like JD,
He's an awkward
I like that joke
piece
called
of
the
human
Rain
being.
Man.
Rain Man, yeah.
I mean, I like Aaron a great deal. He's
well,
really
yeah,
great guy.
yeah.
But JD, it's so it's a very different character
It's definitely
for Aaron
a
as
different
well. But you're right. It's odd because you sort of just observe them, like you just watch them and you're like, I'm trying to see.
Trying to see something.
But that's what I love about Phoebe's character is that she sees things in people, in everyone. She's she accepts everyone for how they are. She has a role energy about her, right?
True.
Yeah.
She's always rolling this way, but people kind of, she's a really put upon character, Phoebe. She's constantly, they're all mean to her. They've all taken turns being very mean to her. As if she's the dumb one, when she's the most accepting, open one that really just accepts everyone as they are. And so that's how she sees JD's, what she sees in JD, and so she's the one that gives him confidence to be himself with her, even though socially it's a bit of a train wreck.
Yeah. A bit.
What are your thoughts?
I mean, is there something, because his entrance in this episode during their kind of bachelorette night together was so odd.
You mean hiding, like as if they were going to blind him with their nudity? Like that? Well, I mean, it was blinded by the nudity. But I mean, because I watched that the first time, I was like, he's acting like somebody's arc welding, and if he sees it, he'll go blind. And then I watched it again, and I'm like, okay, well, I mean, Necar has some pretty little tight white shorts on, right?
Yeah.
So he's thinking he may have walked in and saw them in their underwear or panties or something. So they're all barely clothed, and it's their party.
I mean, he does spend a lot of time watching porn.
That's
so
right.
I'm sure he's
So
seen
he's
this
like,
scene
is this-
before in another with another ending.
Yeah.
Perhaps. And maybe it made him uncomfortable. I get that.
But you're right. It was a funny, and then they all were like, what's he doing?
Yeah, like what's wrong with him?
It is, but that's the whole. I think that's the point.
Right.
Yeah.
What's wrong with? And then they go after him for being Rain Man, and saying a few things about him, and she bites their heads off and goes, "No, I like him," and they're like, "Oh, okay."
Which is great.
If you like him, we like him.
She likes him, I
Right.
think, because she said he makes me feel smart, and he adores her, but he has the mental capacity of, I feel like, a 12-year-old. He's emotionally stunted.
I think
so
hopefully,
of course he adores
I
her and
think
makes her feel smart.
I think there's more to come.
Okay.
from
Yeah.
JD. You
Okay.
know, we're not into the predictions phase,
there?
but
Yeah.
there's more to come with him.
Okay.
He's he doesn't judge her, and she's always judged in one way or another.
She's
So-
spent her whole life being judged
Yeah.
as a model. Like,
always,
everything. Her
always,
physical
and always
yeah.
reaching for something that's
Yeah.
out of her grasp or something. And so he doesn't judge her at all. He
Yeah.
accepts her and loves her and adores her. And so,
Yeah.
That's an interesting take.
That's a good
I
thing.
love it.
well, that's what I see from him. I see to absolute sincerity.
Oh, yeah.
And he adores her. And it's not like you could. I know you run the risk of thinking it's like more like a puppy adores, but he's
love
like I
goes a little
said,
bit.
there's more to come. I think.
I think it's interesting.
I do. I think there's more.
Yeah, like I'm loving having your perspective on here because I think a lot of times we look at the show from the female perspective.
Right.
So we think of the relationship in terms of Phoebe's relationship with JD, and
Rather
I think
than where he's
it's
coming
interesting
from.
to hear it from like JD coming into the relationship, and it's interesting. Interesting.
I like that you say there's more to come.
But that's the one thing I do feel
I
like
say that like a writer.
like he knows.
Or someone who knows, right?
Someone who's on the show.
Speaking of knowing, how soon do you find out about what your role is? Like, do you get the script like before each episode, or do you get them at the beginning of the season?
No,
Like,
you
do
get an idea. There's an overarching idea of where
Okay.
where you're going to go, where character. There's a sort of a rough outline, and it may not go that way. Sometimes it's just it doesn't. There's an early talk. You hear something early, and there's like that's the direction it was headed, and then it's not, and so, I didn't know. For a long time, I didn't know how the wedding would go. Right,
Okay.
so the wedding was coming for a long time,
Yeah.
but was it? And it was funny because I was watching you guys predict and everything, and it's like, well, is it runaway bride? Does he find out early and he stands her up? Does something happen? Does Albert run in and do like a
Yeah.
Dustin
That's what I
Hoffman
thought was gonna
and shake
happen.
the back of the
And I still think my prediction was somewhat right.
So it's funny, and I didn't know until very close to it, and then all of a sudden when they tell me, I'm like, ooh, that's okay. That's
Yeah.
Right?
nasty.
I know. Speaking of not knowing and awkward relationships, Joe and Frumkis and Scott. We see Joe and Scott. It's just the same, like uncomfortable. They clearly are having trouble with their new work life relation. Whatever it is. Whatever's happening there.
Whatever's happening.
Scott's upset with Joe. He doesn't want to clean up and thinks Joe's being icy. And then we see Frumkis come in plastered with people shaking him down for a $300 bar tab, which again, like, I don't think they leave the bar with the drunk guy. $300.
Yeah, that was. Okay, I have to assume the bar was like across the
like
street.
Yeah, right next door. Yeah.
Because at first I was like, "Who's the guy
Yeah.
that guided him in here?" And he's like, "He's got a bar tab," and I'm like, "He's from the bar."
I was like, thanks for answering that, but that was odd.
That was odd. I would love to say just Joe and Scott. I don't even want to add Frumkis to it like it's a love triangle thing because I don't
It
wanna-
isn't. I don't think it's a
I don't
triangle.
want
Nah.
to give him that much. I don't want to give him that much of Joe's attention, time. The pledge that she made to her daughter to say that we won't turn our back on Frumkis really, I mean, I understood where it was coming from and Joe's loyalty and love for her daughter, but I just don't want her life to get wrapped up in his any more than it needs to be. I just don't.
And
So
I
I
think
think it's
that-
going to hold her
yeah.
back.
And I think that's why we see Scott like cringing the whole episode because he knows he's been there with her through all of the Frumkis crap. And he's like, not again, Joe, not again,
Yeah.
but he doesn't feel like he's in a position where he can say it or do anything. And it's really sad because he just loves her so much from across the bakery. His hot little
In
pants.
between women.
Without wearing clothes.
We haven't
Yeah,
seen him
it's a-
hooking up with women aside from the comment last week. He's been
It's like
very
you realize
close.
that it's been like 2 episodes since I've
He's
been with
been
another woman.
fully clothed.
I am true to you.
Exactly.
I haven't sat
haven't
naked on
seen
a
him
baking
naked.
table in weeks.
Which is probably a health code violation. But
I think so.
he's hot. We'll give him a pass.
But I don't know if
100%
checking for a mole on your scrotum by the biscuits is the best policy. But is it?
All in the name of good health. All in the name of good health.
And good baked goods.
But Joe's like, when you come off of the earlier episode where she tindered wrong and found Mr. Goodbar, that's really interesting because Alana did such an awesome job with that. That's deep trauma.
Yeah.
Like, so Abby's going through like a breakdown of demands of her adult life and creative life and her personal life. And Joe has blunt force trauma on her. Right. And so she stuffed that down and is putting out all the other fires. But then to have that going on while her ex-husband comes in with a woman that wants to take over the bakery is really a lot to ask. It is a lot to ask, isn't it?
And that she should be having the caffeinated fizzy drink.
Yeah, but I mean, because she's so tough, she just keeps plowing forward. And that's how she is, you know. She's defending herself against Scott.
Yeah.
Right?
Will we see any of that? Because we've talked about the fact that she had this trauma, but she hasn't told her girls. She hasn't had any help with it.
She just told Jake.
She just told Jake, which we found to be so interesting. Will any of that bubble up? I mean, we only have one more episode before the season's over. Will any of that kind of surface? Will she deal with it at all?
Your lights haven't started flickering into the
It's not predictions yet.
Mode.
Oh,
so,
it.
He really watches.
I did. I watched you guys.
He's really excited about predictions.
Because I've been enjoying watching yours.
We love that. Speaking of predictions, we were all very wrong about the wedding.
But, I mean, were we all wrong, or were we just...
No, you were all part wrong and part right. There was a lot of part right and a lot of part wrong.
Yeah.
A lot. Because everything that you said happened, but not at all in that order. You know, she wasn't a runaway bride. That was the only... She didn't not show up.
Right.
Yeah, so let's talk about the man of the hour and the wedding. Delia says she has to run an errand the morning of the wedding, and we see the girls go off on their, like, hijinks escapade to save Abby, which is...
That was brilliant.
Yeah, it was brilliant and hysterical.
Funny.
And then we see Delia going off to Gordon to have sex with him, and to me this seemed a little desperate.
Did you think so?
I felt like it was Delia, like, desperately trying to convince herself that it was going to be okay.
Yeah.
In the only way she knew how, which was physical.
Yes.
What
Like
do
the way
you guys
she
think?
manipulated him when they were buying the house. Remember with the separate bedroom? It's the same thing, the same sort of manipulation. This is all going to be okay. We're going to do it my way. I'm in control. Yes, I agree.
Yeah, I guess the only thing she had with Albert was like this sex, and so maybe she needed to like test the waters with Gordon just to say, well, Albert might have been this, but Gordon is just as great in bed, and then he has all this other. I mean, just trying to like
feel inadequate.
No, not at all. I just
the pros and the cons, because when she got out of bed that morning, and someone said, "Where's the happiness?" You know, and when Phoebe's like, "Where's the happiness? It's your wedding day." You just saw her turn sheet white. Like, it was like, oh my gosh, it's really happening. I have to run this errand really quickly.
Yeah.
And to me, it just felt like, I agree, like this desperate thing. She's like, I have to find a way to get through with this. I have to find something that maybe I've forgotten or connect or something in order to be able to put this dress on and walk down this aisle.
Which is never a good way to start your wedding day. I don't know. I had a wedding morning mix, and I like went on a power walk around my neighborhood listening to like cheesy love songs, including going to the chapel, and was like, I'm getting married.
That's how it's supposed to be.
Like,
And your husband did what?
oh, I'm sure he sat in his hotel room, like, I don't know, watching sports. I
think your husband would have preferred you to come in sexy lingerie.
He'd have been like, that's not bad luck at all. See, that's the thing.
All the men in America that
if
are
you're going to
watch
see
this
your
show.
look, except for the outcome, if you're going to see your wife, your bride to be on the wedding day before the wedding, that's the best way to go.
Yeah. Forget about the cheesy first look photo.
Yeah.
Right? That's, like I said, the lesson learned is don't accept any envelopes.
Right.
Well,
I mean, it's true. A lot of couples don't have sex on their wedding night because they're like
too
freaking
drunk.
exhausted,
Tired, yeah.
drunk, and there's like 700 buttons on your dress and like 850 bobby pins, and by the time you get them all out, you're like, I'm done.
So you didn't think the sex with Gordon was desperate at all?
It didn't feel like it to Gordon, I don't think, because he has no clue. He has no clue. Basically, his beautiful bride-to-be shows up and takes off her coat, and she's wearing beautiful lingerie. And part of the great thing that they have is great sex and great physical attraction to each other, and it's their best communication. It's not their best communication, but it's how they communicate very well, and there's a strong common ground. So wouldn't give it a second thought. It didn't seem desperate from her.
No, she
from
pulled
Delia,
off, she pulled it off
she
very
didn't come
well.
in any way desperate, and afterwards lying back and talking, there's no real, if there's any moment of doubt from her, it's internal, it's like nothing that I see.
Yeah.
Right?
She played it very well.
Yeah.
And after their afterglow, that's what I said. I was like, poor Gordon has no
Oh my gosh.
idea.
And I loved that moment when he calls her his wife. He's like,
Right.
I just had sex with my wife.
Right.
And how does that make you feel? And then when he says, there's some part of you that has always dreamed about this day, I just thought was so sweet. And so what I've loved about Delia and Gordon all along is that I feel like Gordon sees a part of her that she doesn't even see in herself.
Right.
And I think that that's really sweet and powerful. But then
I do like that.
it's bad.
What? And then what? And then it goes
Then
so...
it goes so bad.
And then it goes very south.
Very bad.
So cut to, they have their moment, and we see Delia in the wedding getting ready in her dress.
It was great. It was gorgeous.
Amazing.
That's insanely beautiful, wasn't
Which,
she?
yeah, and I did a little research on it. Originally, they wanted her in something like more of like a sheath and really like sophisticated. And then they found the wardrobe, I forgot her name, who does wardrobe for the show.
Cynthia.
Was in, I believe, Vancouver on this like row of bridal shops and just saw like this dress and was like, this is perfect.
It
for
fit
Delia.
her body
And
perfect.
she's, for her,
Oh,
she
was
is a
so-
model. She's
gorgeous.
It was gorgeous.
long arms, and she looks fantastic.
She looked amazing. So we see the girls get Abby to come, and that was awkward because Abby was just kind of like, I'm here.
Yeah, that was really awkward. That was really
Time she was
awkward.
there, it was like Abby was like someone just put her together with like band-aids or glue.
But this
and stuck her in the corner.
This is what I like about the show, right? I like that they really enjoy awkward,
Yeah.
long drawn, like uncomfortable things, and I like that they're unafraid to let that linger. There's no talking; it just sits, and I love it. That's what I love about the show.
Well, because life is like that.
Yes.
Life is
Yes.
awkward
Yeah.
and weird.
Like that.
If somebody outed your affair at your bachelorette party and you were like, I don't want you at my wedding, and they showed up on your wedding day, you wouldn't be like, oh, I'm so glad you came. Like, you'd be like,
No, it sucks.
bitch, why are you here?
Right.
This is weird.
But they also needed Abby to come, because if Abby hadn't walked down the aisle, and let's say what happened didn't happen, Gordon would have eventually said, well, what happened to Abby? Like, everyone would have asked that question.
Right.
Well, he kept
Why
asking,
wasn't
and they were like,
Abby
oh,
in your
deadline.
wedding?
Yeah.
Right. Why wasn't Abby in your wedding? And it would have just, that would have been a big question that would have needed some type of answer. So it's better to like band-aid her up and put her in a nice dress and puff her face with some makeup and throw her down the aisle than to, not have her show.
Well, and
That's what I
Delia
say.
never says, she never accepts her apology because the
They don't
wedding
talk.
coordinator comes in and, well, she does.
They're about to
Abby
talk.
does finally like say some awkward words that somewhat resemble an apology.
Yeah.
And Delia just sort of like looks at her, and Abby's like, okay, I'll walk away. Just in true Abby fashion, just like awkward human being, uncomfortable situation. Oh, good times.
Which makes it all things don't get fixed like that in real life.
No, and that's what I mean. Like
Yeah.
that's unresolved before going down the aisle. It's unresolved. I mean, she's heard her and she said her piece, but it's unresolved, and that's rough.
So cut to, we have the blushing bride and her happy wedding party. And we cut to Gordon, who is beaming and getting ready, and he gets a delivery.
Dun, 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 dun.
And he opens up, and we all knew it was coming. And to me, what was so devastating is like on my wedding day, my husband and I both wrote letters to each other, and I was like, this poor guy thinks he's probably getting like some sweet token of affection from his bride-to-be, and instead it's the photos of the affair. What did you guys think when you saw that?
I thought, what a shoddy wedding planner, because on your wedding day, if you are
Blame it on
planning
someone
this
else.
big wedding, you don't let anything slide in that room without you knowing what's going on. I mean, she had the envelope in her hand, open it up, take a look, and that's not going to go over well. We'll hold that till later.
Oh yeah, that's a good thing to hold back as the wedding planner.
Wedding planners out there,
Wedding planners.
look at envelopes before you have them to
That's
grooms.
right. David Tatera would have never let that happen. Just saying.
Oh.
I don't know. I thought that maybe she thought it was business. He thought it was business. He was just opening up like a
Absolutely.
business
Never
envelope.
thought twice.
And my heart just broke. You
Oh
were
my gosh.
so. I like the way they shot it. Did she tell you to look in the mirror?
In the
Like way it
mirror,
was from
yeah.
the mirror,
Yeah,
and it was
through the
so
mirror.
subtle and heart wrenching.
It was
Yeah.
devastating.
Yeah.
Did you
Devastating.
use
Played it really-
anything at that moment, like for that entire scene, you're so, you're
No, I
married.
mean, no, I don't have to. I don't
He's that
think. And
good.
I don't mean that. No, I don't mean it like that.
No.
I mean, when stuff is good, you don't have to
Yeah.
as much like substitute
If the story is
some
good,
other
yeah.
idea. It gets muddy in your head doing all that. If but if something's you're well on the way to adoring somebody, and then you just see a photo of somebody with somebody else, and so it's fairly easy to just feel that, I think.
Yeah.
Your face said it all. Yeah.
Amazing.
I'm
And
always curious. Oh
no.
How many takes things take?
I don't
And to
remember
do
how
such a
many
hard
that
scene?
one was. I don't remember. It wasn't a lot. That wasn't a lot. Yeah, I don't. It's inconsistent. Sometimes there's a camera problem. Sometimes they want to get it from a couple different angles and see what they do. But I don't remember that one being a whole heck of a lot of them.
Yeah. I just remember thinking, like, we've seen Gordon throughout the season, but not a whole lot. And what really struck me with that scene is that we've been sort of conditioned to root for Delia in this and seeing her deal with this, and we are more attached as viewers to Delia. But in that moment, I was like, my heart broke for Gordon. And I think it's so powerful when you can feel that for the character that you haven't been sort of rooting for or seeing, all the time, to be like, oh my gosh, like to have such impact in just one scene. It was like,
Yeah, that was an intense scene, wasn't it?
so intense.
Right?
And really well acted. Like that was just no. And what I mean by that is we have gone back and forth here on this show all season long, going, does Gordon really love her? Does Gordon find her as a trophy wife? Like all speculating all these things. But at that moment, it was undeniable. You knew he really loved her for her, as pure as it could possibly be, and it's ruined.
Yeah.
It was pure and innocent.
That all came through.
What did you think when you got that script?
I remembered when I got to that part, and I was like, wow, that's pretty intense. That's gonna be a fun day. That's gonna be a fun day. Because I just
Lots of joking that day.
I was like to Necar, I was like, maybe we should just go out and have some fun, have some dinner before, because tomorrow I'm gonna hate you for the entire length of the day. And that was my last day of work. That was the last day for me for the episode.
Oh. Okay.
So that's how I ended and left after that. So the next day, and so I pretty much left it at that. And she texted me and she's like, I didn't even get a chance to talk to you afterwards, because we did it, and it was the end of the night. We literally did that on my last day, and then they continued on, and it was weird because I did that and then left and said goodbye to everybody.
Yeah.
And that was kind of a hard scene to have done, and then said see you guys to everybody.
So I'm assuming you're referring to, like, you confront Delia, and it is like the kind of anger that scares the crap out of you. I was saying earlier, it's like my husband and my dad are like this. They're like that kind of like quiet, more reserved, don't really like express a whole lot, but when they get angry, it's like that Irish rage. It's like
it's quiet
scary.
rage, isn't it?
It's like
it's
years of bottled frustrations all out. Like it really has to hit you in the gut to get that angry, to be that like, but you can't fight with someone like that.
No, they're beyond.
It's like quiet, and it, like you said, it's that quiet rage, and it's just, you can't help but just feel like I messed up.
Did anybody think, after we did the ceremony, did anybody think that it was going to be okay? That suddenly something would happen because of the wedding? Did it feel bad the whole way after that? Am I moving on to the wedding?
I will say no. You're fine. You're fine. No, that's in my predictions, but we can talk about it, because I still think that there's a big part of Gordon that just loves her so much, and I think that he's gonna make her stay with him until she can realize like what she gave up, and hopefully make it work. I don't know, like there's still a part of me that thinks they're not gonna, like I don't think they're just gonna go get it annulled.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Like I think they're gonna stay married, and they're gonna go to New York, and it's gonna be awkward. Mm-hmm. Very awkward.
To me, when Gordon let go of her hand, the way he let go of her hand, and he didn't even, when he let go of her hand and walked straight ahead, and didn't even look back, didn't say, I told you, I'm sorry. It was just we are doing what we have to do, and I'm gone. And that's how I feel like their relationship will be. I do think they'll remain married, and I think Delia will try and try and try. But for him, because I think people, when you get hurt and scarred that much, it's so hard to open up again and trust. I feel they will stay married, but it will never be the same, and he's going to torture her. And it's going to just be painful.
See, I don't think he's that spiteful that he would torture her. Like, I don't think he's the kind of guy that would just torture her to torture her. Like, he's been married before.
I don't perceive Gordon to be cruel.
Yeah.
But horribly wounded.
Yeah.
Horribly wounded, so... I was going to ask you guys something else, and I forgot what it was.
And he's a successful businessman and used to being in control, so I feel like he's going to try to control this.
Yeah, but that's what's funny, is it like used to being in control. It's funny because that's beyond the ego. You know what I mean? Like your ego being hurt, like it's in there, but this is deep.
It's really...
This goes all the way in. And just your ego is hurt. This is like... Because, I mean, that's what was so fun about when I read it and then seeing that scene in the bridal room is like, where's that going to go? Like, how are they going to figure it out? Like, the question is, what are you going to do now?
Right.
Like, we're here doing this argument. Where is it going? Right. Are we going to... it's like, am I going to go out and tell everyone we have to cancel, because, she's a whore and all that awfulness. But there's no... what's the solution? That's what's fun about the scene in that hard way. Is like, where is this going to go?
Yeah.
You have no idea where it's going to head.
How many takes was that scene?
That one was a little intense. Yeah, we had to do that. The director, Robbie McNeil, he was really cool about how we did that. We did we shot that wide to get an idea of where we are, and really if we have to cut away and do that. And then we got in close for what was important, and we did it just the very few times necessary to do it without drilling it into the ground past these
I
points.
can't imagine doing that more than once.
Yeah.
Exhausting.
Yeah. And the same thing when you guys asked about how many shots it took for the one thing while letting go of her hand, that was shot in several different ways.
Oh.
So that had like her over her with me walking like and then turning and just keep going, and then it's there like so it was really interesting to see how was that
actually
and that was great because it was really clean and small.
Yeah.
It was just the hand
so
and then
hand.
walk out of frame and then her with just like a piece
amazing.
of Phoebe going what you know.
I love that you guys are even surprised, like when you watch it back.
That's what I love.
See what
That's what I really love. Is
end
like
up writing in.
what they kept and certain things were cut, small lines here and there that were interesting, and then you look at it and you're like, wait a minute, I remembered the scene going on. And I was like, no, it's good they cut that because that wasn't a necessary thing to say at that point. Little things like that.
What I do like, I liked the fact that all of that happened between Gordon and Delia after her girls were downstairs. So there was no one for her to talk to. There was no one there. She had to face Gordon to everything he was saying. And like the words, the things he said to her, it seemed to me like it even hurt him to have to say those things and to believe that the person that he adored was even capable. It was such a painful thing.
It was so raw. Like, how do you go home at the end of that day and like to your wife and kids and like not just be so drained? Like how like.
Well, it's funny you'd say that because I didn't go home.
Well, there you go.
I just kept walking. I just kept walking. No,
and then he came
it was so weird. It was like when I got to customs, because when we were in Vancouver, no. I had a friend in town, and we were going to go to an Oktoberfest and drink a lot of beer the next day. And so I literally was like I went back, and there was this, and there was this
anger.
There was this buffoon back at my motel room that had driven into town, and we went down and had a few beers and talked. And he was not at all the kind of guy that I could say like, Tom, I had a really sensitive scene, so if you could just talk low to me and just be soft for a little while. I mean, he wasn't the guy for that, so I really had to smash out of it quickly.
Wow.
But it was funny that was how that all ended up, but that's just how it happened. He was always coming, and I ended up shooting that scene then, and I like left it, and I was like, that was so like, hey, buddy. And I was like, I had to get all
You're like,
it was
I'm at a really
funny.
rough day.
It was really funny.
Hold me.
Can we just talk about it?
Maybe cuddle. Can I just hold your hand.
That's hysterical. And it went from
it.
that to like 2 guys in Vancouver. You have to go out and drink and have fun.
Yes. Then we went on, had a few beers, and the next day we drove to an Oktoberfest in Washington State.
Oh my
that was
God.
a full dress lederhosen.
Did you wear like lederhosen?
I did. I have a friend.
Are there photos on Twitter?
Liz Bass, famous costumer. She
Wow.
outfitted us with some fantastic, authentic lederhosen.
Amazing.
His had bells.
I did not see those
so
in
it was
my
even
Google
better.
search, so
No.
I'll have to re-Google search for those.
And if we find them, we are posting them.
Absolutely. It is time
Oh no.
for what you've been waiting for. Predictions.
And now, your AfterBuzz
There
There we go.
TV.
There we go.
Is it everything you dreamed of?
Now I know I'm on the show. I'm in the lights.
It's real. So what do you guys think? What are your predictions?
I love Jake's coming back. I think Jake is the one thing that Abby needs, and maybe even Joe, to help put those pieces back together again. And Delia and Gordon will remain married.
I think they will remain married. It will be awkward. It will not be an easy fix like the show is. And I think, well, because I saw it in the previews, I am so excited for the scene with Frumkus getting drunk at the wedding and revealing it all. And it's amazing. And
poor
Gordon's sick.
mom.
Yes, poor mom.
Gordon's mom.
So will we see Gordon again?
Let me see. How shall I do a prediction? Will you let me hear your prediction,
Okay.
and then I'm gonna take.
So my prediction is
pushy.
that, first of all, I don't know how Frumkus got to the wedding, but I think Scott's going to end up trying to fix the Frumkus situation, and that's going to piss off Joe even more because she's so closed off to him right now. I'm not sure what's going to happen with Jake coming back. I still think that Joe and Jake are going to end up making out at some point.
At least.
I still think it's going to happen. Also, really hope that we get to address the baby daddy issue, at least to some extent.
I wish we had more time. I really enjoyed that reveal. That was so much fun.
Which actually, I found out that they revealed that it was him because they were like, well, who was it? Wait,
Tay Diggs.
Tay Diggs. They were like, we just picked Tay Diggs because you can't really be that mad at her because it's Tay Diggs.
Well,
That was
Who
the-
would say
that was
no?
the choice?
That was like the reasoning.
Did Tay Diggs like have a mouthful of Cheerios when he was watching, and he like went?
Yeah, he's like,
Did anybody ask my permission? I think they did, but
And they're like, maybe he'll end up on the show, so maybe we'll see some Tay. We could use that. I think we're gonna see more of Phoebe and JD. I feel like we haven't really gotten to see a whole lot of depth in Phoebe's character, and I hope we start to see that. I think they're gonna stay married. I'm not.
Are you
sure
waiting for
where it's
me?
heading.
My
Yeah,
prediction?
it's your
Of course.
turn.
well,
course.
this is the exciting part that I did not read the last script, so I don't know, and I didn't ask to read it. I mean, I have an idea, but I want to watch it, and I want to know where.
Well,
it
so
goes.
obviously you're not there because he's sick.
Sick.
So that's already a giveaway, isn't it?
What do you think will happen? Do
yeah.
you think Gordon and Delia will stay together? If you were the writer.
If I were the writer, well, I've been told a few things
'Cause you
that
are Gordon.
I'm not gonna say a word about.
I don't know. I don't want to know what you were
Right.
told. I want to know what Gordon thinks.
Oh, what does Gordon
What
think?
would Gordon do?
Gordon is still walking. I'm like, it is way too soon. It's literally going to be.
Persons for Gordon.
It's too soon for that prediction. Like he's got to actually get past the walking
Yeah.
phase.
Love it. All right, guys. The amazing Matthew Glave. Thank you so much for being
Thank you,
here.
guys.
Guys,
Thank you
let
for
us know
having me.
where we can find you.
Oh, yeah, I'm Tara Johnson. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at TJ Wagon or Tail, or Words, Wine, and Women, my women's interest show. We have an episode coming out this Sunday. Check it out.
You can find me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Fern Ronay. And my first novel, the story of a single 29-year-old Manhattan lawyer who is guided in her dreams by her dead Italian grandparents, called Better in the Morning, will be released in a few short months. So follow me for release information. I'm knocking things over.
Awesome.
And you will find me holding my hands up like those two, saying Matthew at Matthew Glave. It feels so good to do it this way, doesn't it?
And you can find me, Lindsey Miller, at Rockin' Mama Life, and all of us at AfterBuzz TV at AfterBuzz TV. Make sure you go to YouTube, SoundCloud, iTunes, rate, comment, subscribe. We love your feedback. We'd love to hear your predictions and where you think Gordon might be. It's like, where in the world is Carmen Sandiego? Where in the world is Gordon Beech? He's just walking and we cannot find him. Thank you, guys. See you next time.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.